Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back for the review of the SNAA Firelord Particle Awakening Armament version here. If you missed the unboxing video of this here on the channel, you can go back and check that out. I also did a live build of this over on the USA Gundam TV YouTube channel, so you can go and check that out as well and subscribe over there. But the kit here, as you can see, is all built up. It doesn't have all the effect parts on there yet. We'll go ahead and get into that here in just a minute once we go through all of the accessories that we have. So aside from all those cool effect parts, we have some more weapons and the stand and everything else. So some cool accessories that you have, a lot of great stuff in there. The build overall was fantastic, really nice, smooth build on this with a very familiar feel to the building process, with this essentially being, very similar to like a master grade model kit from Bandai in terms of the size and the construction process generally, but it's a really smooth build, very nice. The fit is really good on all this stuff, and I think the articulation is going to be really nice as well. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on, but first let's just get started taking a look at our included accessories here. So first of all, we do have that included base here, quite the large base plate on the bottom with some nice detail on that as we saw in the unboxing, and then just the simple display arm here, but it's definitely the type of display arm that I prefer. Just simple, solid. I mean, it does have some nice detail on there, but I mean, it doesn't really need a whole lot of moving parts. It's not going to rotate at all, but it will be just moving up and down basically. You've got one point here with a little lever that you can pull out to adjust the main angle of the display arm, then you can push that back in to lock that in place. And then up here at the top, it's this push button here that you have to push in one way in order to adjust the angle of the connection right there, and then you push this back in the other way, and then that's locked into place there like that. So simple enough. And that's going to plug in actually onto the base of the backpack right up inside there. This is a part that's just kind of fixed onto the backpack. You can remove that though if you didn't want to have that on there for whatever reason. You can like omit that piece, but most likely you're going to want to just keep that on there. Now while we're here, we can go ahead and get started talking about the weaponry. So here's our first two weapons. We have these two swords that are just mounted onto the back skirt here like this. These are going to be identical in terms of the handles anyway. And the effect parts are also identical, it's just that they're in two different colors. Now that said, you do have two blue ones and you have two purple ones, so you could have them the same if you wanted, but assuming you're keeping the look of it being sort of half and half, these two swords are meant to have two different color effect parts on them, but going to be very long here. These are the first of our very long weapons, but I think probably the longest. Let's check the length on this one with the effect part coming out to right about 36 centimeters in overall length there, compared with the height of the Firelord itself. As you can see, it's going to be much taller than the actual kit. Those are some cool swords with some nice handles on there, and I like how those are attached in here onto the back skirt just like that, so that's pretty nice. Next up then, we've got our shield, which is also going to be quite large. This is going to attach onto the back of the arm there. As you can see, there is like a secondary handle up here there for it, but it's really just kind of all for detail here on the back side. Now this shield does have an opening gimmick that these panels, the top, bottom, left, and right, can all extend out there like that, and then we've got effect parts that are going to go in here as well. That clear blue part there in the center, like all the clear parts on the kit, can be in either clear blue or clear purple. I just went off what it says in the manual, and the manual calls for clear blue in this case for that, but those metallic parts there on the shield looking really, really nice. Here on the back side, we have a couple more sword handles here, just very simple. Those will pull out of there like that. And then we've got a much smaller effect parts, kind of very similar in style, I suppose, but those will just plug onto there. So kind of in comparison, the size of these is more sort of like daggers really than swords compared to the size of the swords that we have, although these are still going to be, pretty large in size, but compared to the other weaponry, pretty small. And again, for the two that we've got there stored on the back of the shield, we've got two different colors for the effect parts for those. And the effect parts for the back of the shield also just going to be in the two-tone. These will connect into these slots there on the back side, not actually on the front, and make the shield end up looking like that, which is really cool. And it doesn't affect the opening gimmick of the shield. The shield can still be closed or opened up, depending on how you want to display that. We'll say with the effect parts on the back, it is a little bit harder to grip some of these parts there to open that up, but still, the shield looks really cool there with the effect parts on it, I gotta say. Next up then is going to be our first of two large lance weapons. Now this one has the effect part here in blue. Now you only have that in blue. This is one of the parts where you don't have that in both colors. You only have that effect part there in the blue color, and the length of this one coming out to be just slightly shorter than the other longer sword at about 35 centimeters in total length. And not really anything else in terms of any other kind of gimmick or anything to this other than just the fact that it's pretty epic in terms of its length. You do have this hard point here on that clear purple part, and I think that's meant to be able to connect this to like a display arm or something, although I'm not entirely sure, and I can't find anything in the manual that says anything more clearly about that. But our other lance weapon here going to be slightly shorter and has these cool effect parts there at the back side, but the main body of the lance here in just that solid white, but still looks really cool with the gold accent there. And just as a comparison, you can see the handles are going to be the same like the back end, but it's going to be a little shorter there at the front. You can actually swap these though, so this one we can remove from here, and on this one, if we remove the blue effect part from there like that, we can plug this part on here in its place, and it just makes for like a different combination of the weapon. I really like the look of that. It does look really cool. So just kind of basically you have three different options for like a large lance weapon, either the bigger one, the smaller one, or the combined one, and so it's really cool. But then if you were thinking, well, those are some really cool weapons, it's a shame that I can really only hold me like one or two at a time, just with the available hands here, you're in luck, because you also have these mechanical arms that will connect into the backpack. So if we go up here, you can see on the side of the backpack there's the hard points where you're going to plug these connection arms into, and these are basically just made up of 3 sections and then a handle part there which will hold on to the handle of your weapons. Now on some of the larger weapons, I'm a little bit worried about how well it's really going to hold these up, because it's just this little clip there basically that's going to hold the weapon, but it seems to be, I mean, kind of strong enough. Wiggling in it, shaking it around here, and I can feel like it's starting to fall out there a little bit, but I mean, assuming you're not shaking it around, I think it should hold onto your weapon there pretty well enough. You got 2 of these, of course, so one for the left side, one for the right side, and just a bunch of articulation points in these, so you should be able to move this around in any direction that you want. You can rotate it, you can bend this there at the end back and forth, you can rotate it. So that should work really nicely for holding some of our weapons other than just what you can hold in the hand. So that's really cool. Now then, lastly, as for the hands, these are just going to be swappable fixed posed hands. So starting off there, we have the closed fists. We've also got a set of open expressive hands like this, and then just kind of open resting hands like that. We've got this set of finger pointing hands here like this, really cool. And then basically 3 different sets of weapon holding hands. So the first one's just going to be just kind of like a straight grip weapon holding hand there. Another one is going to be holding it at a little bit of an angle. So if you wanted to hold the sword at a bit of an angle there. And then the third option is holding it at an angle, and then also the wrist connection is also at an angle. So it'd be for like if you wanted to hold it at even more of an angle. So it's kind of depending on the angle that you want to hold the weapon, you can choose the different weapon holding hands accordingly. Then of course we have all of our effect parts. So for the main big cape effect part there at the back, this is going to be in clear blue. This is going to attach up into the backpack and kind of between these wing parts, which do open out like that. We're going to kind of keep those closed, and then this effect part will slide up into the backpack. I'll show you how that looks here in just a second. For these parts here, which are attached onto the back of the shoulder there, actually we've got one clear purple and one clear blue effect part for those. So if you wanted to have those attached in there and then pointing down like that to kind of add to the look of the cape, or kind of point it up like that, like you can see in a lot of the promotional images, you can do that as well. Here at the back of the head, there's a little panel that we can remove from the back of there, and this one you have an option of whether you want to do blue or purple for the effect part for this, but the effect part will just plug right here into the back of the head, just be sticking out from there like so, like that. Then here in the shoulder, you've got these hard points here where the effect part is just going to plug in here like that. On the side of the arm, you're going to remove this little panel here and plug the effect part into the side of the arm right there like that. Down here on the knee, there's a hard point right inside there where the effect part is just going to plug into here like that. And then around on the back of the foot, you have that hard point here where we're gonna plug this effect part into there like so. So that looks really cool there out of the back of the foot as well. Just really kind of makes you wish for a master grade crossbone ghost or something like that from Bandai. Would be nice someday. But so there you have it, guys. There's a lot of stuff that this kit comes with, and for that reason there's a lot more that I would rather show you guys than tell you, talking more about all the different points of articulation. Basically, in a nutshell, the articulation is fantastic on this. Everything you would expect from a nice modern master grade. You've got double joints in the elbows, double joints here in the knee with some really nice separation portion of the knee armor and the sliding gimmick here with that part on the top of the thigh. The articulation of the frame, I will say, like, that was the only part I mentioned before about the construction of the kit. Putting the kit together was very smooth. The construction of some of the frame parts is very tight, but I think that that's good just because you want the frame, because it's a big, kind of pretty heavy kit. You want the frame to be strong enough to not have any weight issues with that. And so I'm kind of okay with the frame parts, the most inner frame parts, the load-bearing structural parts being kind of tight in terms of the fit. But some really nice articulation all around, and you guys will see that as we get into some different posing here with this. The neck is able to look up nice and far. You do have a really nice ab crunch here in the center as well. Up underneath the feet, nice detail there. You do have a toe bend. For that, the front of the foot will bend down. So like I said, basically all the finer points of articulation that you would expect for a kit like this. One thing I will say too, you're just gonna wanna be careful with some of these sharp points, especially up here on the head. You don't want to damage those. And so while building the kit, I was really trying to be careful not to like lay the kit down on its back and damage these really fine points on there. So it's mostly just gonna go for the head, but you know, any of the sharp bits on here, you're just gonna wanna be a little bit careful with. One thing to know about the eyes and the head cameras, so it's a clear part in there for the head cameras. It's clear blue, but again, it's kind of really hard to see. So I kind of would have almost preferred if we would have had the option to have stickers for that as well. I know people have mixed feelings about stickers, but I just think that they would be able to be a lot more visible than those clear blue parts. The eyes also, you have the option to make them either clear purple or clear blue or gold. Obviously I went for gold just because that would just make them the most visible. Clear parts just would look like just a dark shadow in there really. So the gold, while it may not make the most sense being the same gold as like the accents around on the kit, I think the gold looks the nicest just in terms of how it catches the light there for the eyes. So that's something that you might opt to paint in like a different metallic color or something. But all right, let's take a look at some different poses here with this guy, because there's a lot that this kit can do. And I have to say that's one of the many positives about this kit that I want to just kind of talk about here as we're taking a look at some different poses and finishing up the review, is that you have a lot of options with this, which is always great. So the kit includes the base, which is fantastic, so you won't have any limitations and just in terms of like the posing options for this. You don't have to buy anything additionally, you don't have to buy a separate base for it, so you have that included. You have those connection arms for the backpack to be able to hold more weaponry than what you can just hold in your hand, because we do have a lot of weapons. You have a couple of different lance weapons, a couple of different sword weapons, you've got the massive shield there, which is really awesome. And so having all that really cool stuff, you want to be able to display it, and so you only have two hands, but you do have the addition of those mechanical arms to hold even more of that. And then of course, on top of all that, you've also got all the effect parts, which you can opt to use all of at once, or you can only use some of them. You can opt to have like some of those on, and you can leave some of them off, just kind of depending on the look that you want. So in terms of how you ultimately want to display the kit, you have a lot of options, which is always great. And that goes into the other point that I wanted to make about this, that just being the value. Because at the moment here for USA Gundam Store, again, this is an early release copy that I'm getting of this. At the moment of recording this, we don't have this in stock yet, but it's up for pre-order for $80, $79.99. And so for what is essentially, comparable to like a large master grade kit that comes with a lot of stuff, it comes with a base, I think that's a very, very reasonable price for this. It has a lot of plated runners in there too. I mean, anything from Bandai, if it has plated runners, it just like skyrockets in price just because of the plating process. It's expensive, but the nice thing about these kits is that even though it has a handful of plated runners in there, I mean, the cost is still really, really good, I think, for what you're getting with this. And not only are you just getting a lot for the price, but the quality of what you get is actually really good as well. Like I mentioned before, the fit of everything is really good. The articulation is really nice. I think everything goes together really smoothly. You don't have any like unsightly gaps. Everything like the tight is like really fit and snug and smooth. And so like I had a couple of spots during the build where it was kind of hard to press parts together, but as I just mentioned a minute ago, it's just mostly on like the most inner parts of the inner frame where you kind of would rather have it be a little bit too tight than a little bit too loose. So I'm kind of okay with that. Other than that, everything else for the rest of the frame and the armor and all that, it just goes together super smoothly. So haven't had any issues with this. And on top of all of that, I think the most important thing, as always, is just that the kit looks fantastic. It looks really good. Super cool look to this one. And with this one basically just being like a color variation of the previously released Firelord kit, it's just kind of up to you which one you prefer. I kind of would prefer all of the effect parts to all be in one color rather than two-tone. I'm not super into like the two-tone effect, but as far as the changes changes to the armor coloring on this, I definitely prefer this version with the kind of dark silver metallic and then that kind of rainbow iridescent chrome silver on there as well, with the gold accents against the white and the gray of the frame. I just think like the color scheme on this, it just looks really cool. It just looks fantastic here out of the box, and this is without doing anything else to it. Obviously, I haven't done any panel lining or decals or anything like that yet, and that is something that I would like to do on this, so that'll be out for another video upcoming. But overall, fantastic kit. Can't recommend it enough. Definitely check it out, guys. The link to USA Gundam Store will be down in the video description below. Let me know what you guys think about the kit in the comments section, and if you're not yet subscribed, make sure to subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like as well. I really appreciate all your support. Thank you so much. Until next time, have a good one, guys. I'll see y'all later. Bye.